Mr. Young suggested, no doubt you're aware of, the idea that all holding fees or all award fees be put in a holding account until the mission is a flight success. Would you agree to do that?
So as a mechanism to ensure that we are all aligned on mission success, Northrop Grumman has actually discussed this with NASA, and we are willing to place all of the fee that we've already earned and the fee that we may earn it in the future at risk based on successful activation and demonstration of the telescope on orbit. So we're very much aligned on that recommendation.
Appreciate that positive response. I think you anticipated the question. Next question is this. This goes a step further. It seems to me that given Mr. Young's description of JWST yesterday as a poorly managed program, that you ought also to put the $800 million in above cap expenses that were not anticipated and pay that yourself.
Well, let me reaffirm that we are very committed to mission success. And as I said before, we're very proud of the progress that we've been making, but we do recognize that there has been cost growth. James Webb is structured as a cost-type contract, which is the typical contracting approach for such a large-scale development project that's never been done before. And a cost-type contract recognizes the inherent risk in the development, and it provides the government the ability to direct our actions on an ongoing basis. So this type of contract gives the government the tools that it needs to ensure accountability through the direct control of our fee. So to your question about the financial position on the program, to be clear, our financial position on this program has been degraded in a number of ways when we experience cost growth and delays. First, our award fees have been very negatively impacted.
Mr. Bush, let me interrupt you. My question was, would you agree to pay the $800 above cap cost?
Our view on that is that would create more of a fixed price relationship on this program, which would significantly impede and impair the relationship between NASA and Northrop Grumman. And as we are focused on mission success, we think that would be the wrong approach.
Okay, I think that that would be justified given the poor record and given the poor management that Mr. Young referred to yesterday. And I only wish that Northrop Grumman was willing to take responsibility and show a little bit more good faith, both for the taxpayer and for the cost overruns. But it sounds like you've made up your mind. I just happen to disagree with you. Mr. Young, let me address my next question to you. Yesterday you mentioned the cost-plus programs almost inevitably ended up being overcost, sometimes considerably overcost, and that was kind of baked into the system because when you're awarded a cost-plus contract, there's not much incentive to keep the cost down. And I wondered if you had any ideas for how the bid criteria should be changed so that in the future we can avoid the massive amounts of cost overruns that we've seen with JWST as well as with other programs.
Yeah, I think the point I was making yesterday was that for cost-plus programs, competitive programs, contractors are encouraged to bid the lowest credible cost. And why do they do that? They do that because the sponsoring organization for the contract, basically that's what wins. And I think that's unfortunate, but it's a fact that exists.
Three things.
And my comment yesterday and my comment today really is that what's necessary is that being the lowest credible bidder should not be a criteria for winning a contract. And if I go a step further, I think it also should not be the input to NASA or the government or this committee establishing what's the most probable cost for a program. And I think that should be done independent of the bid price. So I fundamentally think that using JWST or programs like that in the future as example, that NASA should develop a most probable cost for the program, not use a bid price from a cost-plus program, and that should be the basis for budgeting to a program as being the most probable cost.
And so it's not necessarily the low bid, it would be the...
In fact, I would say it certainly won't be the lowest bid.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you think that past performance should be taken into consideration?
I do. I think past performance is a strong motivator for corporations. And if I go back to my personal life, you know, at Martin Marietta, past performance was something, that was a parameter that we treated very, very important. And even though we may be involved with a cost-plus contract, that did not negate the fact that both ourselves and our board considered past performance to be very important.
I think past performance should be considered, but I also, sometimes you get the feeling when you hear about, yes, something is complex, yes, it hasn't been done before, you almost get the feeling in regard to cost that the ends justifies the means. And I think that is a dangerous approach to take. I don't think the end should always be used to justify the means, in this case, the cost. But I think your suggestions will help us get to the goal, and I like the fact that you want us to consider past performance. So appreciate it.
If I could add just one item, and I know time is critical, if I add just one item, I also think that for flagship missions, that the kinds of things NASA does are not amenable to fixed price. In other words, I think that we collectively don't want NASA pursuing the easy stuff. And we want NASA pursuing the challenge and the difficult stuff.
Right. I think there are some that would be fixed and some not, depending on the nature of
I agree with that. But flagship missions, by their nature, probably would not be in the fixed category.
Thank you, Mr. Young. The gentlewoman from Texas, Ms. Johnson, is recognized for her questions.
Thank you.